Hi everyone, there will be a lot of IPOs over the next few days and weeks. For you to win, you have to know that there's so much misconceptions also on IPOs. People think that IPOs go up every time. People think that IPOs go up on the day itself. People always think that if you buy an IPO, it's cheap, it's low, that if you buy it, leave it for the long term, you will make a lot of money. In this video, I will show you that there were a lot of companies that after the IPO, it dropped. Even if you waited for years, the stock still has not recovered. What are the worst IPOs? What are IPOs? What are companies that after the IPO, they never went back higher? Check this video out. So hi everyone, this is Marvin Germo. If you're new to this channel, subscribe, smash that bell so you get updated every time I come up with new content about the stock market. If you want to join me in my live training sessions, seminars around the world, the links are down below as well, so you can join us and be part of our sessions. So enjoy the video. So this video is dedicated to give you the right foundation when it comes to investing. You have to know that when you invest in the stock market, it's all about what you know. It's all about the data that you have and you will use so that you can invest in the market. Do not invest blindly. Do not invest just because a lot of people are buying into it. Do not invest also because I say it. You have to buy based on the firm understanding that you know and you know and you know and you know what you are getting into. And please remember, not all IPOs go up. Not all IPOs go up the day after it's released. Some IPOs go up a few days after, but after that, it starts to trickle and go down when all of the supply, all of the demand of people pushing it up is gone as well. So please remember this, when you invest in the stock market, it's all about the company, it's all about the businesses, it's all about its long-term growth. Because if the company, if it's not doing so well, they may not also make money over the long term. If they're not making money over the long term, the stock price will eventually drop as well. Some companies also, after the push, after all of the excitement of the IPO is gone, they start dropping down as well. So why am I saying this? I'm showing this to you to give you a realization that when you start investing into IPOs, you need to know what you're buying. You need to know where the company is headed. You need to know a solid foundation on what the company is. So if this is helping you anytime in the video, comment IPO, comment stock smarts, comment buy, comment investing, so that I want to hear from you if this is something that's helping you as well. So enjoy the rest of the video. So I hope that you guys get a lot of insights on this because it's not always rosy, no, it's not always good. What always gets quoted are the stocks that have gone up. I'm gonna make a video also on that. Comment below if you want me to make videos on IPOs that have gone up as well, because there's always two sides to every story. There are stocks that have gone up and have never looked back, but there are stocks that on the first day have gone up, then did not follow suit after, or there are some stocks that made a quick run, then after that they have dropped massively after as well. For this one, we're gonna feature the ones that have dropped even though you've waited an X amount of time for it. So what's interesting also is stay till the end because I'm gonna rank it. The ones that have been laced, percentage-wise, the lowest up until the ones that have dropped massively. The ones that have dropped massively will be at the latter end of this video. And also just to qualify the things that I've placed, the furthest, this is just a study on IPOs from 2011 to 2018. So please remember, there were some stocks also that have dropped and have not gone higher than its IPO price prior to 2011, the likes of JME7, etc. But I just wanted to focus on 2011 to 2018 because that's where the emergence of people who have invested online using retail accounts have started to boom. And my channel is all about giving a framework where retailers like all of us get a chance also to make money in the markets. And this is just maybe a balance to all of the other videos that have been also optimistic that you invest in companies that are amazing, that will go up as well. Please remember that there are some stocks that even though their fundamentals are also good, but because market conditions, there's no one willing to buy it at a higher price, or certain aspects in the macroeconomy that are preventing people to buy it higher, that even though you wait a stretched period of time, the stock still hasn't gone much higher than its IPO price as well. So are you guys ready? If you guys ready, comment I'm ready. Comment that I want to know more about this as well. Just a quick plug also, for those who are sending questions about when and where my next events will be. So here are the schedules: Qatar, Cebu, Singapore, Davao, and Manila as well. The links are down below if you want to join us on those live events. So number 1, interesting, Cebu Pacific IPO the 2011. The IPO price was 125 pesos per share. During the IPO date, if I remember it properly, the stock went up around 7%. But because this IPO was predicated on debt, and it got hit as well because oil prices were up over this stretch period of time. You have to remember, and I've been mentioning this in a lot of my videos, airline companies normally get hit when oil prices are higher because 50% of the cost, or most of the costs of airline companies come from fuel as well. So the stock hit a low of 37.87 pesos. Today it's up already. So for those who knew how to use technical analysis, for those who were following the years where it reversed because its earnings were better because oil prices were lower already, those who were able to buy around the 30, 40, 50 peso level, you're crushing it right now. But if you bought at the IPO, held it for 8 years, current price is 94. By the way, for the prices are literally based on the closing price of last Friday, which was September. It's now September 23. So that's around 22, 21, September 20 are the closing price of those of the prices here. So whenever I place current price as the closing price of September 20, so Cebu Pacific is down 24.8%. The next one, you'll be surprised because this is just a new IPO. It's the loan IPO from last year, DMW, DM Wenceslao. Again, property development in the Bay Area. The IPO price was 12 pesos per share. Please remember, this entire area is amazing because there's a lot of POGOs there. So you will see a lot of growth there. You will see a lot of growth of the prices there as long as POGOs remain intact and as long as development in the Bay is pretty much there. However, the stock dropped to 7.57. For today, the current price is 9.83 pesos per share. If you bought at the IPO last year, you would have been down 26.41%. So for DMW though, it's still a year as compared to Cebu Pacific, which was massively down already for more than 8 years. And the thing about that is if you bought at that IPO for Cebu Pacific, there would have been stocks that also did an IPO almost in that period of time that have done well. Think about PGOLD, which started at around 12 all the way up to 50 plus at a certain point in time. So Cebu Pacific 24.8, DMW 26.41. Next, let's go to 2017. 2017 is Chelsea. This was IPO as Chelsea Logistics as a logistics and shipping logistics / shipping. The IPO price was 10.68. It dropped to 4.64. Current price right now is 7.34 pesos per share. The percentage down since its IPO was 31.27%. Please remember also, context for this as well is that this was heavily connected also, or is still heavily connected to the story of the third telco player. So pretty much the swings of this, the upward and the downward swings, is highly connected also to what will happen or the current narrative in the story for the third telco player. So I've showed you something from 2011, then 2018, then 2017 as well. So we have a diverse set of companies. We have airlines, we have property development, then we have Chelsea Logistics, which on the day that they did the IPO was connected to logistics. Next, we're now gonna cross over to banking. So please remember this. And for those who attended StockSmart's Manila, I mentioned that the economy is massively growing, and for economy to grow, banks are pretty much part of it as well. And if banks are pretty much part of it, it's nice to be invested in banks. But the thing and the narrative about that is this. Please remember, that's why we study companies individually, because not all of them will have the same piece of the pie. There will be companies that will do better and that will yield better results. So AUB IPO that 2013, the IPO price was 95 pesos per share. It dropped to a low of 33.83. Current price is 56 pesos. If you bought it at the IPO 2013, held it for 6 years up until today, you would have been down 41%. By the way, may bonus if you bought a stock and the stock is giving you dividends, because if the stock is giving you dividends, then while you're holding on to it, if the stock price is lower, the dividends would still give you at least some sort of reward, some sort of cash flow while you are holding onto it. Next, RWM 2013. Also, IPO price was 11.28, lowest was 3, current price is 5.72, and it's down 49.3% since the IPO price as well, or since the listing 6 years ago. The difference though between AUB and RWM is basically RWM will be delisted. So for those who bought AUB in 2013, AUB still has a chance of going up as long as the stock is in the market, if they produce good earnings, if there's a story, if there's growth, if there's something that will cause people to buy higher. Whoever bought at the IPO has a chance to still make money and recover their capital. However, for Resorts World Manila, it will be delisted, and if it gets and for those who bought at 11.28, the current price is already very, very close to the price on which it will be offered for delisting. So automatic, those who bought on the IPO will already lose money, will lose roughly around 40+% of whatever they've placed as well. So that's the risk also, no? That's why I keep saying it's not just about buying a company for the long term. You have to be very, very, very specific that what you're buying is growing. And for those who attended our fundamental analysis sessions, we've seen it via the numbers, we've seen it via the fundamentals that this does not fit our criteria of what we want to buy. If you want to be a long-term investor, you have to remember the name of the game for investing is all about fundamentals. It's a different story if you are trading using technical analysis. It's a different story if you are using the charts and you have strategic areas to sell. If you are buying this IPO and your context is investing, you need to be very, very specific that what you're buying is good, that what you're buying is growing, what you're buying will rig it for the short, mid, and long term. Now we have 4 nano. We did Cebu Pacific, DMW, Chelsea, AUB, RWM, and if you notice it, there's no specific team. No, they're all from different industries. They all have different business models. That's why buying IPOs is all predicated on how good the company is as well. So RWM, AUB were all 2013. Let's move forward again. 2016 IPO, Shell PH. And I've posted so many videos about the IPOs in 2016, and I've mentioned that among all of the IPOs that happened in 2016, my favorite was Golden Haven because it was a pure expansion play. I've also mentioned that I wasn't a big fan of pizza at that time because there were a lot of secondary shares sold, and I've also mentioned that I wasn't a big fan of Shell, Pilipinas Shell, because it was mainly done based on compliance to the oil deregulation law. They were merely doing it because it was needed. It was part of the law, which I think it was more than 2 decades ago where this law was enacted, and they only went public 2 decades after. So they did an IPO at 67. The lowest price is 31. For those who've been following our stocks by request sessions, you know that Shell is massively down. You know that Shell is massively in a downtrend. As of this point in time, current price as of last Friday was 33.15. You would have been down more than 50% already since the IPO date. Please remember, similar to Petron, similar to other companies that are heavily reliant on the movement of oil, we cannot predict oil prices. If oil prices are not so good, it could also affect Shell. If oil prices are low, it will also affect Shell as well. That's why, in terms of predictability of income, that's why I've been hammering it in all of our seminars about fundamental analysis, about we need to find out who are the companies that gives you predictability of income, because if they have predictability of income, they will do well, they will push, and they have the narrative and possibility to earn as well. So how many stocks have we looked at now? We've looked at Cebu Pacific, 1, 2 DMW, 3 for Chelsea, 4 for AWD, 5 for RWM, 6 for Shell. Number 7, this one is not a IPO, but I just wanted to include it so that at least you also have another context. There's what you call a backdoor listing. Please remember, Pancake House was listed. Max wanted to come in, but instead of doing an IPO, Max did a backdoor. They bought Pancake House and they used Pancake House as their entry point to go into the stock market. And with them using that, they were able to now enter. So the backdoor was at 2014. The opening price on the first day that it became Max was 32.98. The lowest price as of that point in time was since 2014 was 9.5 pesos per share, and it's now, based on last Friday's price, was 13.9 pesos per share. No, now, please note this, Max is a very, very popular brand. It's not just Max, it's also Pancake House, it's also Jamba Juice, it's also Krispy Kreme, it's also Cabecera de Denchos, it's also Denchos, it's also Licor de France, it's also what's my other favorite restaurant, Yellow Cab as well. So in spite of it having a good brand, please remember this, it always will go back to what the tech and fundamentals are telling you. Max, also as of this point in time, if you waited 5 years, you would have been down 57.85 pesos per share. Next, let's look at another company. Now, it's connected again to the banking industry, PBB. The IPO price was 2013 was around 31.5 pesos per share. After the IPO, the stock dropped to 10.5 pesos per share. It's now at 31.1. If you bought at the IPO, you would have been down 58.4%. Now, as you've been seeing, it's escalating from Cebu Pacific 24.8. You have DMW 26, then you have Chelsea at 31, then you have AUB at 41, then you have RWM at 49, then Shell has 50, then Max has 57, then PBB is 58, so it just keeps increasing. Now we're gonna go to another consumption stock, SSI. SSI, as you all know, is pretty much department stores, and they also have supermarkets, and they also now are entering and dabbling Shake Shack, TWG, and also Salad Stop. But when they did an IPO, they were primarily an upscale chain that sold a lot of clothes and a lot of shoes and a lot of bags. Yan yung place na pag pumupunta yung wife ko, nakakaba kasi baka gagastos siya ng malaki. Anyways, IPO the 2014, IPO price was 7.5. In fairness to this, no, the stock went to 11 pesos per share. But because at that time they also had Family Mart, the Family Mart really wasn't doing well for them, so the stock dropped from 11, down to 9, went to 8, went to 7, went to 6, went to 5, went to 4, went to 3. Then the lowest that SSI has ever been was around the 1.8 peso level. Today it's at 2.82. In fairness, also 2017 it shot up to 5. At some point a few months ago, it shot up also to 2 at around 3 pesos plus per share. Today it's around 2.82. If you bought at the IPO, you would have been down 62.4%. Comment below if you own any of the stocks from Cebu Pacific, DMW, Chelsea, AUB, RWM, Shell, Max, SSI. Comment, I'm hurting if that's you as well. Next stock, we're gonna go to exports. We're gonna go to electronics. SSP, this used to be PSPC. The IPO was at 2014. IPO price was 3.15 pesos per share. After that, it dropped to 1.01. Its current price is 1.11. The stock is down 64.76. Please remember also, it's not just SSP, but a lot of the stocks that are heavily connected to electronics, that a lot of the stocks that are heavily connected to exports have been massively hit. It's all about the trade war. It's all about US-China. It's all about what's happening in that front as well. Next, I'm not sure if you've noticed it. We've mentioned a lot of stocks that have dropped, but there hasn't been any mining companies yet. But this will be our first one. Coal, IPO 2012, IPO price piso, 1 peso, lowest price 0.26, current price 0.29, almost 0.30. The stock is down 70% since its IPO price. Again, if you notice the theme, a lot of the stocks have been in massive downtrends because it's not about investing for the long term, but it's about investing in good companies for the long term. That's how you win. That's how you can select companies that will help you grow your wealth over a stretched period of time. Now, this is something that's interesting because the next stock that I'll mention is connected to agriculture. I've been mentioning this since 2012 that this is something that you're not supposed to buy because it wasn't really it did not fit the parameters of what I wanted. I'm talking about Kalata. The company that got delisted. IPO was 2012. IPO price was 7.5. A few days after, the stock went to 10, 11, 18, 20 plus pesos per share in a few days. Then the stock reversed. People sold it down. The stock, as of that point in time, dropped to its lowest of 1.87 pesos per share. So the stock now is delisted. Those who bought at IPO have no chance to recover their capital. The 72.8% down since IPO was based on the last trading day where it was still available in the market. So again, that's the risk, no? If you buy a bad company, then it gets delisted. then there's no tender offer. The good thing about RWM is that there's a tender offer. Because there's a tender offer, you have a shot to at least recover a portion of your capital even if it's at a loss. Now, if you bought Kalata at IPO, there's no tender offer, there's no shot, there's no chance for you to exit. That's your risk when companies get delisted and then there's no tender offer given. So, to those who came in and were not able to exit, you're out. You don't have a shot to already at least recover your capital. That's how you make it go from whatever price all the way to zero. But for those who were able to sell at the last day it was trading, you would have lost 72.8%. We're down to the last three. Are you guys excited? As if you've noticed the losses have just been increasing. Now, the first tech company in the Philippines naman, Surpass, IPO the 2014, IPO price 3.97. This had a good run. Please remember, they were so profitable when they were highly connected to Globe and Smart with all of their apps and games there. But since they lost their deals with them, the stock was heavily battered. From 17, 18, 19, 20, the stock dropped to below 1 peso. The lowest that I've seen it is at 0.91 pesos per share. It's now at 0.99. If you bought at the IPO, you've been down 75.06%. If you bought at its all-time high, you're down probably 99% already. Last two, Cemex, CHP. We've been talking about this over and 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 over because I've mentioned that CHP was massively hit when they did the IPO. A lot of the money from the IPO went to debt repayment. We're not, as you all know, we're not fans of companies who do IPOs just to pay off debt. You want companies to expand. And also last year and years prior to that, CHP's earnings have been declining. Why would you want to invest in a company that's declining in its earnings? Next, last year, CHP's earnings were negative. They lost money, which brought it to a low of 1.88. The IPO was at 2016, IPO at 10.75 pesos per share. The stock dropped to 1.88. Today, it's starting to reverse for the very reason that over the past few quarters, the last 2 quarters, CHP has started to make money already. And that's where we're seeing the stock, or at least the price starting to reverse as well. Current price, 2.67. But if you bought at the IPO, you would have been down 75.16%. And now, the winner of all, compared to all of the stocks that we've listed, this is the biggest loss. This is a stock that have dropped massively. Just to recap, we started with SEB, 24, DMW 26, C at 31, AUB at 41, RWM at 49, Shell at 50, Max at 57, PB at 58, SSI at 62, SSP at 64, Coal at 70, Cal at 72.8. Or it could probably, Cal can make also its case as something that should have been lower because a lot of those who invested at the IPO and were not able to exit lost everything. Surpass 75.06. Again, just to qualify also, if you own the stock, you are now a private shareholder, you can still exit, but you need to find someone who's willing to buy it for you at a certain amount. But again, that will be relatively harder already. Surpass 75, CHP 75%. And the winner, consumption-driven stock, Del Monte. Del Monte also is pretty much into exports. Just to qualify everything, Del Monte was not an IPO, it was a secondary listing because it was already listed in the Singapore Stock Exchange. But it listed in 2013 at 29.8. It dropped to as low as 5. As of this point in time, 6 years after, it's still close to its lowest price at 5.94. So the stock has been down 80% since the IPO. That's why it's very, 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 very prudent that when you start investing in the stock market, you need to know what's happening to the company. You need to know if the company is doing well. Similar to Del Monte, they are having problems in terms of its earnings. They're having problems in terms of productivity and growth as well. And that's very, very important, especially if you are a long-term investor. Did you guys learn a lot from this video? Did you guys see that, hey, oh nga no, even if I buy a stock and even for the long term, it's not gonna work. It has to be predicated on fundamentals. It has to be predicated on how good the company is, because if you don't know how good the company is, no matter how long you leave it for the long term, you're not gonna make much as well. So that's what I wanted to submit to you guys on this video, that you need to buy based on a firm understanding of where the company is headed. Do not just buy because a lot of people are buying the IPO. You need to know what you are getting into. So if you learned a lot, I want to hear your comments below on what videos do you want me to make more. The videos on the Axelum interview as well for the chairman of the board is coming up in the next few days, and I hope that you also know the pros and the cons of coming in. But because you need to remember also, IPOs are relatively sold at a premium. So I guess that's it for now. This is Marvin Germo, giving you insights on what the market is, and I'll keep making videos like this because the heart and the goal of this channel is to provide the right information to Filipinos so that Filipinos can win it. That I really believe that the stock market is one of the greatest ways for Filipinos to have a chance to have exposure into this economy without being an entrepreneur, without having to dabble and being able to sell. But if you want to make your money passively, you want to still focus on your job or your core business or your core passion, but still have an asset that's working hard for you, I believe that's the stock market. I believe that if you know what you're getting into and you love what the stock market is and you know how it works, it will work hard for you as well in perpetuity. So this is Marvin Germo. My next set of events and talks will be in Qatar this October and Cebu also this October, followed by Singapore on November. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.